I'm really betting this to attempt to atone for my mistake on the rigged presidential election. I thought for sure Trump was getting back in, and that's why all the downtown areas were boarded up for the protests to follow once he did get reselected. That didn't turn out to be the case. But as you can see, it's even money for the Bucks. I went all in, try to win my money back from the presidential race. Probably not a good idea since it's never good to try to chase your tail. But given the things I'm going to show you in this video, it does lead me to conclude, since it is scripted, they've got it in for him to win it again for the 7th time. Most of the times when he won it, he was the underdog, or when he did win, he did not cover. So I like the fact that he's an underdog here, and everyone's picking Kansas City. So we'll see.
Jack Sempay here, talking today about why players don't come out that the NFL is rigged. Well, first of all, there are players that have come out and said the NFL is rigged. Nothing comes of it. But the main reason players don't come out and say it's rigged is because of the salaries. We all know NFL players are making a boatload of money. And when you think about it, they're making a boatload of money doing a job where there's only one employer willing to pay them that much money for the job. That's the NFL. So if you get on the NFL's bad side, you're not going to be making much money. Where are you going to go play? Play in the CFL or something like that? You're not going to make anything close to what you make in the NFL. So that's why players don't come out. However, every now and then, someone does come out and say the NFL is rigged. Take, for instance, Vontaze Burfict. This is after he got suspended for the season because he's a dirty player. We all know that. It's obvious he's a dirty player. I don't think he's in on the rigging. And you can't have a player playing the way Burfict plays, where he's going to accidentally injure one of the superstars and cost the NFL a lot of money. Anyway, here's the quote from him he gave to the interview when he was suspended. They're asking him if he had been watching football on his season-long suspension. Here is the quote. "I honestly think some of the games are rigged," Burfict said. "The refs pick and choose when they want to throw their flags. There are flags on every play. The refs determine the outcomes of games, so I just chose not to watch it for the most part." The important part of this is I honestly think some of the games are rigged. That is a huge no-no to say in the NFL, any professional sport, to be honest. Now look at this quote from Larry Johnson. This is Larry Johnson, the running back for the Chiefs. The guy was a very good running back. And look at what he had to say about the NFL. "Playoff teams are set. Super Bowl champion already picked. Blatant officiating and a ready-to-go explanation is how we get you to accept all of it up front. What can you do? Nothing. Shut up and give us your money." Note the date of this, September 16th, 2019. He's already saying the playoff teams are set. Super Bowl champion already picked. Larry Johnson's a former player and a good player at that. What more do you need to know? This is a former player. People will say, where are the former players? Here's a former player right here telling you it's rigged. No one believes him. Here's another former player. This is Earl Campbell, a great running back from back in the 70s. And we all know now that we're grown men that wrestling's fake. Campbell told USA Today Sports, "Well, football is not played like it was when I played. It was real football when Jack Tatum, blah, blah, blah." And then he goes on to say that he doesn't even watch the NFL. He watches college football and golf on Sunday. College football on Saturdays, golf on Sunday. This is a retired player, Hall of Famer, said the game. He compared the game to wrestling, which should kind of give you a hint at how he views the NFL.
And one of the things that I noticed in this year, because of the COVID and the fact that they can't have so many people in the audience anymore, they can't sell these tickets. You got to understand this is entertainment. And that's what I've always stressed to you. It's entertainment. It's a show and it's a script. And now without them being able to get those ticket sales and have as many people in those seats, you've seen the NFL try to put on the best show that it can now. And this is why you're seeing so many comeback games, so many of these, last minute games. Have we gotten more and more as this time's been going on, as we've been exposing the rigging. But one of the things you've also seen, And they'll tell you that the NFL is a copycat league, and that's because it's made to be that way. They want you to do certain things like the end around. The end around, you've never seen the end around as much until this year because they have to try to figure out a way to bring some more excitement back. It's like an alley-oop. It's like an alley-oop or a deep three. They want to throw this, like you've seen every team now run an end around play once or twice a game now. And this is not a play that's always been in the NFL because let the NFL tell it, end arounds and plays like that, these mixed direction plays take too long to develop, and these players are too disciplined, they're too smart, and they're too fast and athletic for you to let these plays develop. So this is why these plays were never ran at this level, because they don't work at this level. But now because they have to entertain you, you're seeing all these end arounds go for these big gains every week now. So it is a lot of things that they're going to do to make sure that they are entertaining you. There's a lot of things they're going to do, but now we're going to go forward to this play that I want to address that happened a few weeks ago, a Hail Mary. I want to address this play because there's really something fishy about this play, and we're going to look at it. We're going to raise some questions, and I want you guys to let me know what you think about it. All right? But if you remember, before we look at this video, if you guys remember, I had a video before about, the field goals and the game-winning field goals and field goals going off of the upright, and there being information and there being research that back in, North Carolina, a university in North Carolina, back in like 2013, 2014, had made new footballs with new technology. They have magnets inside the balls and things like that. They say that they use them to track, the rate that the ball's going, track where the ball's going, track the yards and statistics. This is what this thing is used for. But there's been arguments that this is used as a magnetic field, some type of the energy that they use to help, get these kicks off the upright and things like that. And, a lot of people didn't want to believe it, but I tried to open up your eyes and get you to look for it. And people have noticed it now. And you have to understand the access that these guys have to technology. I want to show you this little video first before we even jump into that NFL play. I want to show you this video.
Hi, I'm Cohen
first.
Loeffler with the Minnesota Vikings, and this is the ultimate reception. Now every kid can catch like a pro. Come take a look.
And I'm going to let them explain it to you, but as you can see, the glove basically sticks to your hands.
Players using an ultimate reception football and gloves are so effective they are not allowed in any high school or NCAA football game.
Basically they stick to your hands, but let's listen to it and let them explain exactly what it is.
Ultimate Reception features a patent-pending magnetic grip system that literally makes the ball stick to your hand. And with the smallest, strongest magnets in the world on your side, it usually only takes one hand.
Subject 1, what did you think about the ultimate reception?
It's amazing. You can't even drop it with the gloves. Just make a lot of catches you weren't allowed to make without the gloves. It's pretty awesome.
So how easy?
All right, so we just watched that, and one of the first things I want you to notice is that they told you it's not those gloves aren't legal at the high school level or the college level, but they did not say they weren't legal at the professional level, because they are allowed at the professional level because they use even better gloves than these. They have better technology and they use even better gloves than these. But you heard the guy say, you just stick your hand out and it sticks to it. He's like, it's easy to catch. One hand, you just stick your hand out and it's like it's going to stick to it. Now, I'm showing you this because I want to show you that before I show you this part of this Hopkins catch and this Hail Mary, because this is where we're going to raise the questions, because I need you guys to tell me something. I need you to let me know what this looks like. So we're going to look at this catch by DeAndre Hopkins, this Hail Mary, which definitely looks like it's scripted. A lot of y'all won't want to believe it because you don't know how to, you just, you can't see through the bullshit. The veil is still over your eyes. You can't see through the matrix, man. The matrix still has you. Sorry to say, but even if you want to say arguably, you're going to get some questionable activity going on right here. All right. So we're not even going to show the regular catch. If you didn't see the catch in regular motion, then that's that. But we're going to slow it down, and they already have it in slow motion. So we're going to put this thing in super slow motion. And, we're going to show you what's happening here. Right? So let's take a look at number 21. As he comes in, right? Look, as soon, you see that? Right? Let's bring that back real fast. The second that he leaves his feet, because it looks like if he keeps his eye on the ball, he may actually have a chance to deflect that pass because he jumps up high enough. And if he extends his arm, you see he's looking, right now his eyes is on the ball. But the second that he jumps up, he takes his eyes right off the ball. He's not even looking to make a play on that ball. If you understand sports, you understand defending a pass, your eyes are going to be on the ball. He's not even looking to make a play on that ball. The second he leaves his feet, he looks toward his player. He's going to eye his player down, and he's going to hit him with a Randy Savage elbow drop. Seriously, like, look, pow, right in his kisser. Pow, right in the kisser. And then we're going to see that ball stick to Hopkins' hand. So you're probably thinking, that's not nothing, right? And here's another angle. Look, as soon as he leaves his feet, his eyes is off the ball. His eyes is off the ball. And he's going to make a play on his guy. He's going to make a play on his guy, man. Look at that. He's going to make a play on his guy, and boom, knocks him right out of it. And then we're going to see that ball. This guy, Deshaun's Hopkins is very good, very strong, as that ball sticks to them hands. Very strong. But we're going to look at another angle because I want to show you something. I want to show you something else. So let's take a look at something. Now we about to get down to the real good stuff. For real, though. But we just going to raise some questions because I really need you guys to tell me what you think. Tell me what you think because I'm going to tell you what I think. But I want you to tell me what you think as we play this video, right? Because I showed you that video on the ultimate catch, in the magnetic gloves that these guys have with the technology to allow them to catch these passes so easily as they do. On cue. Any third down conversion, any fourth down. It's always a big catch getting hit. It doesn't matter. They're holding it. So let's look at what's happening. Because if you understand how magnets work, when magnets attract, they kind of snap to each other, right? So we're going to look at this because I'm going to put this in super slow motion, right? But look at how fast his hands are going to speed up once that ball gets there. Look how they just snap to the ball. See that? You see that snap? Do you think that's him? Does he have the claw? Does he have the claw that he can move his hands that fast? I don't know, because maybe he does. But doesn't it look like it just snaps both hands at the same time? Like, look at those hands and right there. It's kind of crazy, right? Who knows what? And then and this is the next angle I'm going to show you because you're going to see that this Bills defender is pushing the ball away. You got him. He got his hand on the ball, and he's pushing. Let's look at it. You got 4 hands on the ball because Deshaun has Hopkins. Is that his first name? Yeah, Deshaun Hopkins. I'm tripping. But you got Hopkins. He got 2 hands on the ball. Then you got this guy Hyatt has a hand on the ball, and then you got the guy in front who has a hand underneath right here. This other black glove in the middle underneath. Now you got all of this pressure trying to push this ball away. I know Deshaun Watkins is probably a strong guy, but I'm pretty sure those guys are strong too. And he doesn't have this ball at his body, close to his body, which would be your power zone. Everyone knows when it's extended far out from your arms, you have less strength of holding on to that. That's why they want you to bring that ball in as fast as you can. So he has this ball being pushed by 2 hands, and it just sticks. It's rotating. It's just moving with his hands. It moves with his hands, But I just want to raise the question because we're going to go over the storyline once this playoffs start. As I told you, we're not going to reveal too much early, not this time around, but we're going to expose them along the way. That's what we are going to do. We're going to expose these kind of plays. We're going to expose the sequences that happen when you get a turnover that happens, and someone, it's by mistake. And then you get the penalty that reverses that turnover. These kind of sequences, I'm going to break them all down to you because they happen very often and they all happen to keep the game on the script.
For those of you that just buy in and don't see this as WWE and you believe it's a 100% athletic competition, real going on, there's nothing I'm going to show you to convince you that this is all scripted. For those with common sense and a questioning mind, listen to the announcer Tony Romo. before any movement is made by the player. If it's a scripted injury or fake concussion, then Tony Romo is reading from a script, and he's reading it too soon before the action takes place. Much like you'll see certain times the announcers will talk about a player that freshly enters the game before they get the ball and make a big play. They start talking about them, and then magically the very next play they make this play that they're put into the game to do. So that tells you that they're reading a script. But anyway, listen to Tony Romo. It's hard to hear. The audio is not quite great, but he says, oh no, Jim, he's hurt, before he even stumbles. Oh no, he's down, Jim. And then they both, oh no. Now I'm sure this scripted injury or concussion relied on the idea of this man's helmet colliding with his helmet, but that doesn't happen, and they know the video shows that it didn't happen. So they try to give you the illusion that his head impacted the turf. Remember, this game is being played in Kansas City with natural grass. Anytime you've ever played yourself or seen a football player's helmet, like a running back, impact the turf, they get up and they're digging grass out of the frame of the face mask where it meets the helmet. That does not happen here. Like I showed you from the other view, there's 1 inch of ground between his helmet and the turf at all times. It never impacts that. But watch here, you'll see his head impacts his shoulder, never hits his head. So that's what all this led Jay Glazer to conclude he'd been choked out, because they know the video doesn't support it. But they're giving you a reason for him being concussed or play acting like he couldn't stand up. He's not going to play, I would imagine. See that? Clearly missed his head. Now see, they zoomed in purposely where you couldn't really see if his head impacted the turf. See, they cut the head view, and then that's the only view they give you where there's ground between it. But you never see his head bounce up, and like I said, there's no turf on it. Fake injury, folks. And you'll see from the other angle where it's further away that it's possible that it didn't touch at all, right here in this view. And these are the only replay views you get of it. See? Again, if you're from the back side that I showed you, there's 1 inch of ground between his head. His head never impacted the turf, but all the print media pretends like his head did impact it. Otherwise, the game's up. Everyone knows he wobbled for no reason when he stood up. So they can't have you thinking that, so they're just going to stick with it. Wake up to the lies. Fake sports. Here we go, a couple more angles. You'll see, doesn't impact. See that? Let's play it back a little bit. See the ground beneath his helmet. You never see his head bounce back the other direction. See? Scripted injury. They do this all the time. The wider view. Never comes close to hitting the...
Mo back here with another edition of National Fix League. And here's just another example. I'm going to show you guys that the NFL is rigged and has been rigged for a while now. I'm watching some highlights here from the Bengals and Steelers game in 2006, and I caught something interesting in this game, right? The next play after this, you're going to see Ben Roethlisberger throw an interception. But the interception is called before Ben Roethlisberger throws the interception. by the announcer. National Fix League. The NFL is fixed. Let's begin. Next play after this. Coming up. You see that? Let's see that again. Intercepted. The ball isn't intercepted yet. Look where the ball is. The ball is not intercepted yet. Look where the ball's at. The ball's right there. The announcer calls the interception before it's intercepted. Wow. It doesn't get intercepted before it's right there.
A highly anticipated matchup, largely because of the playoff implications that it had for the Buccaneers, as so many people around the league are curious about how far Brady can go without former head coach Bill Belichick. And based off of how the actual game ended up playing out, I'm starting to think that perhaps some people in the league office had a similar interest in the Buccaneers making it to the postseason in their first season with Tom Brady under center. In fact, there are a couple of pivotal plays that looked so suspect that not only social media, but even the play-by-play guys started to openly wonder if there was a conspiracy unfolding in front of us.
I'm going to say it. I don't want to read into conspiracy theories and such at this time, but I mean, could be a possible conspiracy.
So, I'm not alone in thinking that. It sort of makes sense when you think about it. Having Tom Brady in the postseason, with the Super Bowl scheduled to be played in Tampa Bay this year, it'll be a big ticket item for the NFL in terms of viewership and revenue. And that's especially important to the NFL in a year where revenue is down because of COVID-19. Having the future Hall of Famer in the mix brings immediate intrigue to the entire deal. But just because it makes sense from a ratings perspective, and because there are some people who are angry at a call in the NFL, which really is nothing new, right? Well, that does not guarantee that the game was fixed, does it? So how about we take a quick look back at what transpired, and you can be the judge. The game got off to a rather dubious start for the Buccaneers, who, like we mentioned, were in fairly desperate need of a victory against this woefully mediocre Falcons side. Atlanta's offense came out firing behind a strong performance from Matt Ryan, who would finish the day with 356 yards passing, 3 touchdowns, 0 interceptions, and a 110.6 quarterback rating. Not to mention the great performance from the team's defense as a whole, which shut the Buccaneers out in the first half, as the team led 17-0. But in the second half, it looked like Brady started to remember who he was and who the team on the other side of the field was. Brady did his best to essentially recreate his Super Bowl miracle by leading the Buccaneers on 5 consecutive scoring drives, allowing the team to outscore Atlanta 31-10 in the second half of Sunday's matchup, en route to a 31-27 final victory. His head coach, Bruce Arians, gushed over his timely performance, saying he's just a winner, he knows how to do it. Buccaneers tight end Cameron Brate echoed a similar sentiment. A lot of it is his track record. The belief he inspires in us all, Brate said. He's done it on the biggest stage, that 28-3 game. We've seen him do it. That being said, Brady's backers conveniently decided to leave out more than a couple of key details as to how this epic comeback came to be. The Tampa Bay had done the bulk of the work already, having stormed all the way back from the aforementioned deficit to take a 4-point lead. But the Buccaneers were not out of the woods yet. The team was at a pivotal moment. There was just under 2 minutes left and the clock was still winding. Tampa Bay's high-powered offense was faced with a 3rd down and 2 yards to go. With a 1st down, the game would be all but cemented because they could just kneel out the rest of the clock. But if they didn't convert it, they'd be faced with a tough decision between kicking a field goal to make it a 7-point game or trying to convert on 4th and inches, which would put them at risk of handing the ball back to Atlanta with enough time to try and make a last-ditch effort at stealing the victory. On that 3rd down, Tampa Bay elected to hand the rock off to Leonard Fournette, who went bumbling into the line and was taken down. From the initial shot that the Fox team had, it looked like Fournette was well short of the 1st down marker, which was positioned at the 9-yard line. I mean, when you listen back, Fox's broadcaster Kevin Burkhardt could not have sounded any more certain that he didn't reach the 9.
Give it to Fournette, who is not quite going to get there. And so will bring up 4th down.
Which meant that Tampa had to either kick or try and convert on 4th down. And this is where it all started to get more than a little bit sketchy. The refs took out the 1st down chains and did the whole thing, walking them out and planting it down. And even from the first camera angle, it looked like there was a small but noticeable gap between the nose of the football and the 1st down marker. Then, all of a sudden, the cameras panned away from the officiating crew and zoomed in on Tom Brady and a couple other of the Buccaneers players fist-pumping and high-fiving, celebrating that they had converted the 1st down. After the initial excitement of the moment, you can hear some pause from the booth as they realized what was happening in front of them. Check out this back and forth.
It doesn't look like a first, but I guess it is. I didn't think he got it initially.
Looked like it was a little bit closer to the 10-yard line than they've got it right now.
And the more the booth watched the play unfold, the more that they dug the NFL's hole deeper. Burkhardt went as far as to say,
honestly, I have no idea how they could look at that and say he got it, right? I mean, let's just, if you're thinking that at home, we are too. He was short, but they decided the game is over.
And it wasn't just Burkhardt who felt this way either. Dean Blandino, Fox's NFL rules analysis, told Burkhardt live on air,
"Yeah, I'm looking at this and it certainly looks short. I didn't see any part of that football making the 9, but in looking at this, I do feel he's short."
Yikes. Even if there wasn't a conspiracy underway, it is a bad look for the NFL to have its officials blow such an important call in a pivotal moment like this, especially with all the technological resources that they now have to get the call right. Either way, the call was upheld and Tampa Bay proceeded to run out the rest of the clock, notching their 9th win and better positioning themselves for the postseason run that they've been dreaming about since inking Brady this offseason. Atlanta, on the other hand, was gutted by the loss. I mean, even the team's social media manager took to the Twitter streets to lament both the call and the loss. And you know what? It's starting to look like Atlanta might have a pretty valid complaint that there was some collusion against them here. Just check out this slow-mo view of what was going on while the refs thought that the cameras were not on them. You can clearly see the official in the midst of all the players take the ball from where Fournette was down by the 10-yard line and slide it up nearly a full yard. This was incredibly sketchy, because even when you watch the play in real time, it's fairly obvious that Fournette was down near the 10-yard line, because as he's being tackled, the ball kind of curls back in towards his body. So it's not even like one of those forward progress types of situations either. And when you take a closer look at the officials who were involved in the decision, the whole ordeal looks even more sketchy. The line judge that comes running onto the field to move the ball, referee number 65, better known as Walt Coleman IV, is a second-generation official whose dad, Walter Coleman III, has actually had a long history with Brady. Coleman III was on the field during the infamous Tuck Rule game, which had a crucial ruling that, kinda favored Brady.
After reviewing the play, the quarterback's arm was going forward. It is an incomplete pass.
Wow. Coleman III was also the head official in the 2003 AFC Championship game between the Pats and the Colts, a game in which the Colts later complained that the refs didn't properly call illegal contact, pass interference, and defensive holding against the Pats DBs. The calls made in that game were so egregious that the NFL ended up changing the way it treated those penalties and implemented a much stricter enforcement policy on them, limiting the amount that defensive backs could make contact with opposing wide receivers. And where it gets really crazy is when you hear Coleman rave about Brady and the way that he greeted him after the last game as an NFL official. Yes, he came out to my last regular season game. I was in New England and he wasn't playing that day. After the last play, Tom came from the bench. Normally, we immediately run off the field, but all the guys on my crew all came out and got around me and were all congratulating me, shaking my hand. So we were still out there longer than normal. And Tom came over there and congratulated me on my career, and we shook hands, and that was really nice. He didn't have to do that. He could have gone on and shook hands with the other team's quarterback like they normally do, but he made a point to do that, and I appreciated that. I mean, sounds like the two were pretty buddy-buddy if you ask me. Meaning that not only is there the possibility that the NFL was incentivized to slant the game towards the Buccaneers as they want to ensure they qualify for the postseason, but it's also entirely possible that Coleman IV was just independently backing Brady because the QB had such a good relationship with his father. His father, who he was very close with, as he set him on the path towards an exciting career as an NFL official. I mean, he even changed his jersey number when his father retired, from 87 to 65 in his honor. The entire situation stinks to high heaven. I don't know if the NFL was in on the fix or if perhaps it was just Walt Coleman paying a favor to an old friend.
The only thing that could ruin such a great sporting event, well, controversy and bad officiating. And unfortunately, we saw plenty of it in this one. The game. The game was scoreless late in the first quarter, but the Seahawks drove into the red zone and were on the verge of getting that pivotal first touchdown. And they got it all right. Hasselbeck found Darrell Jackson in the end zone for a touchdown, but the officials penalized them for offensive pass interference. John Madden had a tough time understanding why Jackson was penalized.
You know, when you think of push-offs, that's not the kind you think about, really.
The Steelers' defense buckled down, and the Seahawks had to settle for a field goal. It was a 4-point swing on a very, very bad call. Both defenses kept flexing their muscles, but the Steelers drove down to the Seahawks' 5-yard line. On a crucial 3rd and goal play, Ben Roethlisberger rolled out and dove for the end zone, and officials ruled it a touchdown. The officials reviewed the play, and if you take a closer look, it's hard to see when and where the ball crossed the goal line. But of course, they upheld the touchdown rule. And with that, the Steelers led 7-3 thanks to some stingy defense, one horrible pass interference call against Seattle, and a questionable ruling on Big Ben's touchdown. But folks, this game was far from done, and the controversy was only going to get worse from here. Too bad, because you'd like to think that the officials would have learned from their mistakes and just let the guys play. Willie Parker scored a 75-yard touchdown in the second half to put the Steelers up 14-3. And Pittsburgh was looking to ice the game, and they were inside the Seattle 10-yard line. But Kelly Herndon came up with a huge interception and returned it all the way to the Steelers' 20-yard line. Moments later, Hasselbeck found Jeremy Stevens in the end zone for a touchdown. The score was 14-10, and momentum was finally on Seattle's side. The Seahawks got the ball back, and trailing by 4 points with 12.5 minutes to go, were driving deep into Pittsburgh territory. Hasselbeck found Stevens over the middle, and he was tackled just a yard short of the end zone. But hang on, the officials called a tacky holding penalty on Sean Locklear of the Seahawks.
Holding. Number 75 offense. 10-yard penalty. Repeat first down.
And yes, this penalty call baffled John Madden once again.
Oh, I didn't see holding. I mean, you have to be able to jam up in there. Oh, they always say that, you can call holding on any play, but we saw there, I did not see holding.
Hasselbeck was sacked on the next play, and on the next one, Joey Porter of the Steelers may have gotten away with the horse collar on Shaun Alexander.
On the ground now, Alexander sprints to the outside, and Alexander gets collared at the 26-yard line by Joey Porter. Close to a horse collar, but no call.
So instead of a penalty, which would have given Seattle a fresh set of downs, the Seahawks had a brutal 3rd and long to go. Hasselbeck was then picked off by Ike Taylor around the 5-yard line, and it was all downhill from there for Seattle. If you thought Seattle wasn't unlucky enough during that sequence, Hasselbeck was penalized for a block below the waist following the interception.
Personal foul, block below the waist, number 8 of the passing team. 15-yard penalty, first down.
And once again, Michaels and Madden expressed their confusion with the penalty call.
We think it's a bad call. Again, if you cut a blocker low, that's a penalty. But that time, you made the tackle low, and that's legal.
Pittsburgh received the ball just shy of midfield, and they put the game away with one of the most impressive trick plays in recent memory. Wide receiver Antoine Randall played quarterback and threw a 43-yard touchdown pass to Hines Ward to put the Steelers up by 11. Now that was pretty much